I've really been liking how Cody Ziglar has been adding other characters from other comics, other superheroes, making cameos here and there, because all of them in his stories that he chooses to use feel earned. Hello people, my name is Jeff. Today we are going to be reacting to Spider-Man Miles Morales issues number 25 and 26. This is the end of the storyline, Birds of a Feather. If you haven't seen my reactions to the last two episodes at the start of this storyline, as well as all the other Miles Morales, Cody Ziglar comics, well, you can find all those in the top left part of your screen right up there. To recap though, this story started off with Vulture trying to get back into Tiana's life, his granddaughter if you weren't aware, and Miles is still dealing with the bloodlust that he's gained from the Bloodhound after Blade bit him. And if you like this video, please make sure to drop a like, share this video around with your friends. Of course, remember to read the comics, and as always, if you really like the video and maybe you like me a little bit, that would be cool. I mean, if you like me, that would be pretty cool. But if you really do, you should subscribe as well to make sure you don't miss another reaction just like this. And without further ado, let's get into it. Let's finish off the story of Birds of a Feather.
In Misty's hideout with Miles, Starling, Dr. Quan, and Black Panther, they go over the problem again. But the Panther's plan is to help Miles gain control over his venom powers and the vampirism. But first, a test to see if Miles can control his bloodlust. T'Challa cuts his arm open and Miles can't even last a second before lunging at the king. The reaction is animalistic, primal, pure.
The monologuing in this is absolutely fucking hilarious.
Miles, going feral, physically attacks Black Panther, and while mentally he fights even harder as he helplessly loses control of his body. Of course, despite how powerful he is, the Black Panther was expecting this and was more than prepared to deal with him. He easily deals with the raging, bloodlust-driven Spider-Man and brings Miles back into control of his body.
So if it wasn't already obvious, Miles' vampirism is a serious problem. He can't even contain himself with a few drops of blood around people that he cares about. So he's a danger to anybody that is not on Black Panther's level.
But this was merely a test, and even though Miles failed, the Black Panther knew he would need a little extra help potentially. And so Miles gets yet another suit, this time made of vibranium, nanotech, coaxial fiber, to help him get things under control. Supposedly, this suit should not only help keep the vampirism at bay, but as Black Panther explains, it also helps keep his venom power subdued, keeping Miles safe from himself. As all this is going on, Vulture is flying through the streets of New York, hunting for Miles and the love lost from his granddaughter. Back in Misty's hideout, Miles puts his suit to the test and hits the mitts with Black Panther to show him his venom blast is tampered down, but he has more control than he ever has before. Finally locating them with the tracker in Starling's suit, Vulture bursts through the top window. Miles urges everyone to stay back and let him handle Vulture. Black Panther agrees, and they fight things out in issue number 26. Now we really get to see if Miles' new suit can live up, but while it gives him more control and actually helps him not hurt Vulture too badly, the old man's suit is more heavy duty to take the punishment and dish it out a little too, with some of his metal wings. Vulture is blinded by rage and his metal wings sends the roof crashing down on top of the others. Misty and Starling escape, but the debris crashes down on Dr. Quan. Miles rushes back down to rescue her, but luckily she's fine.
It's like everyone forgot that she's superhuman too.
Miles checks on the rest of them and thankfully they're also safe and sound. So Vulture seizes the opportunity to take Miles outside into the sky. Now Miles is truly out of his element. Vulture seems to think that despite endangering his granddaughter and the other bystanders, he has no responsibility for what's going on, still unable to reckon with what he did to lose his granddaughter's trust in the first place. He is so blinded by his rage he won't listen to Miles' reasoning at all, which gives him the perfect opportunity to counter Vulture. But he once again attacks with the roof. Starling, though, has finally had enough of her grandfather's wrath. Shocked by Starling taking a shot at him, he thinks he can win her over by fighting her. But Starling has been holding this in for a while and knows this is the only way to get through to him and get some peace. Finally, after the beatdown, Starling tells him the hard truth, that she can't forgive him for all the people he's hurt, including her mom and herself, and that she doesn't want him in her life anymore.
And it is a sad moment. I mean, yes, Vulture's not a great person. We know that. He's a supervillain, but he does just want to love his granddaughter.
But the truth hurts, and Vulture flies away to respect Starling's choice. Miles goes to comfort her, knowing how hard this was to cut someone out of her life that she cared so much about. And they talk things out, and she lets him know that they need each other on each other's side, even when it comes to family, since they both had a history of supervillain relatives. Now that everything has been settled, Black Panther gives them both the respect that they deserve for doing the tough thing that they just did. But now, it's time to find the cure for Miles and take a trip to Wakanda.
And that ends the storyline of Birds of a Feather, which leaves us in a very interesting place, going to Wakanda now, and it's going to be interesting to see what Black Panther has in store to cure Miles of his vampirism. I've really been liking how Cody Ziglar has been adding other characters from other comics, other superheroes, making cameos here and there, because all of them in his stories that he chooses to use feel earned. They feel like they make sense. He writes them really, really well. So honestly, like, usually I'm not a big fan of cameos, but I think with Miles' world it makes sense at times to do this, and I just think previously it's kind of fallen flat with previous writers, but Cody Ziglar just seems to have it nailed down. For the issue itself, you know, there was some funny writing, and that is something that Ziglar has had an issue with, specifically with Miles. I feel like sometimes he writes him a little bit inconsistently. I feel like his tone is always changing a lot, which is fine. I mean, everybody code switches and stuff all the time. I guess that's like normal, but I feel like in writing, you typically don't see that, but it wasn't enough to ruin the comic book for me by any means. What does have me a little bit concerned is, like, where is all this vampirism going? Why choose to keep this, I feel like, so long into this storyline? The biggest reason for that is because there have been rumblings for a long time that they are trying to change Miles to create some distance and create some differences between him and Peter Parker, so that way he's more distinct and kind of not so heavily tied to him. And one of the ways that they've been doing that, for one, has been giving him a lot of costumes and I guess trying to see what sticks. I remember even Saladin Ahmed at one point kind of changed the way his spider logo looked, and they kind of changed where it was like more of like a V shape. It went kind of into like almost this like diamond looking type of thing. It was just weird, and like, I mean, I didn't hate the look of it or anything, but it's just like, what was the point of that? And then it changed inexplicably for no reason. Another thing that they have been trying to do, or at least rumored to try and do, which is why I'm specifically worried about the vampirism issue, is because they have seemingly tried to make him so different to Peter Parker with his powers specifically. That's the one thing that they've been kind of able to stick to, and I kind of wonder, are they going to leave some of the vampire powers, like his teeth and stuff, which would be so weird for him? And the other part of that really makes me think that they will do it is because Cody Ziglar has been very cool with just giving him new powers. And you'll remember back into my original reactions to the first 4 comics with him, is that they added a sword. And to this day, like, I do think it's cool how they use it, but I still have mixed feelings about it. I still don't love the fact that he's a spider and that he has an electrical sword. I mean, I'm cool with his venom blast, that's fine, but like, even the way they make his venom powers light up the suit in the red areas of the suit. They've never explained why he would have like the electricity going through his eyes and his fingertips and the red on his suit. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like Ziglar has specifically done that because, again, I feel like, he's just a big fan of anime. It's kind of like, almost like going like Super Saiyan 2 or 3 or whatever. I feel like that's probably where they're grabbing the inspiration from, but I just feel that it's never really made sense, and it just feels weird and at times forced. It's like one of the things that I would say, like, it's not a huge complaint of mine, like, cause, like, I can take it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't feel like that needs to be the thing that needs to change. So needless to say, at the end of all of this, I would be kind of pissed if they kept some of his vampirism powers. It was also an interesting idea, I guess, with this whole issue, because not that they didn't like solve anything between Tiana and Adrian Toomes, but they're calling it Birds of a Feather, right? And you're kind of just going in there assuming, okay, maybe there's going to be a lot more involved there. And these 4 issues have completely focused on Miles' vampirism, which is fine. Like, you want to cure it, okay, cool. but it's like, okay, we're still going into another issue and another storyline where he's gonna still have the issue. And it's like, I feel like this was a probably perfect opportunity, or at least a perfect story idea, to flesh out Tiana a little bit more. I feel like Tiana is a good character. I feel like Cody Ziglar, like I've said so many times, seems to like writing her, and I think he's good at it. And I kind of thought, well, maybe this is where we're gonna see a bit more of it. And then we just never saw any of that, like at all. Like we really only got her input at the end. It feels like she almost had like no autonomy in the story at times. She kind of got pushed to the back and made it so much about Miles. And it's like, the reason why Adrian Toomes, the reason why he has this issue, this beef with Miles, is because of Tiana. So Tiana should, you know, in theory, be a little bit more involved, but instead, it's like they kind of got the wires crossed here, and I felt like, you know, this would have been the perfect opportunity to see more of Tiana grow, and just to generally get a better idea of her as, you know, as she is as a character, kind of a little bit more separate to Miles, and this being kind of an issue that really is more about her more than anything. And it was just kind of weird that we didn't get to see that, and especially considering the fact that she has now just shunned him from her life. It's like, well, okay, well now, when are you going to be able to, you know, justifiably bring him back and then get this sort of like fleshing out of her, because she doesn't have anybody else realistically in the story that she's connected to aside from Miles. And you can't give me the whole, oh, well, it's a Miles book. Like, if you've read comics ever in your life, and stories generally, you know that at times they will make a story, at least in part, with another character's perspective. Cody has done a really good job of solving the issue with Miles as a character. I think he has added so much to him. But I think now the kind of problem that he's not created per se, but I think a problem that he is sort of starting to run into is that he's put all the good characters as background characters really far into the background. Not that they're always part of his stories, but like, I do think for the ones that have been introduced because of him, we need to know a little bit more. I think there needs to be more stories that revolve around them just a little bit more. They need to get more involved. But regardless, the next couple of issues, I looked into them, they look really sick. So if you are interested in hearing about those and hearing someone else's thoughts, seeing someone's reaction videos maybe, you should probably subscribe to this channel. Make sure to hit that bell so you don't miss a single video, whether it's that or a different one that might be coming up very, very soon. And if you really like this video, maybe you should drop a like. If you have some thoughts, feel free to leave some in the comments below. This is a safe space for everyone to let us know what you're thinking. I will not have any hate speech or anything like that. No bullying. Let everybody talk in here, okay? And share this video around with your friends, and I will see you all in the next one.